So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Facebook and LinkedIn friends to this edition of HIALI Business Steps Up. This series started actually through COVID when we began to take a look at, what are some of the organizations and companies that were helping out through COVID, both with face masks and many of the things they were doing. And it became so popular, we kept it up. So no exception today. Very excited to have John Giordano and Kevin D with us. John's from Citron Cooperman, and Kevin is with, and Kevin, I want to get it right, American WorkFlows software company. So welcome.
Yes.
They are both active members of the HIALI and proud to say committee co-chairs of our Manufacturing and International Trade Committee. So for those of you watching, the HIALI has 12 very active committees, and they really are. These gentlemen and the other volunteers are our frontline leaders, and they're really helping us engage our members. So as you listen to what we're saying, we'll be talking about obviously manufacturing and international trade today. Please think about how you can get involved. So let's start with, John, I'm going to start with you. I'm just going to ask you, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit before we talk about manufacturing. Tell us about Citron Cooperman.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks for having us on, and it's been a pleasure working with the HIA over the years, and fortunate enough to start co-chairing with Kevin here in the Manufacturing International Trade Committee here at the HIA. Citron Cooperman, for those of us that don't know us, we're a full-service accounting and advisory firm with local offices here on Long Island, in both Melville and Jericho. Traditional services that any CPA would bring, audit, tax, but where we really differentiate is the advisory solutions we could bring to companies. I mean, we are a core middle market firm, so we work very closely with middle market businesses, closely held, family owned, private equity backed, all throughout the gamut, various different entity styles, corps, partnerships, and various different industries. So here at the firm, I co-lead our firm's manufacturing distribution industry, which is one of our second largest here within the firm. So we have a lot of core competencies within that space. But again, our advisory solutions and really the hand holding to the middle market is really where we differentiate. So thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks. How about you, Kevin?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon and happy Friday. I'm Kevin Deveji, and I'm with American WorkFlows Enterprise Software Company. We are a business software publishing and distribution company nationwide. So we are specialized in various business software systems for manufacturing and other industries. We are specialized in machine maintenance management, quality and compliance management, as well as CRM, customer relationship management, and also business process digitization and automation. These are our basic expertise areas in enterprise software business. Also, I've been with HILI since 2018. Time flies, so it's been an exciting journey with HILI and HILI Manufacturing and International Trade Committee. So we work, just like John mentioned, I work very close with John. We organize and facilitate education events to help support Long Island manufacturers. Also, in a way, it also reflects on the nation as well in U.S. manufacturing. So we create and organize events to help support U.S. manufacturing, Long Island manufacturing, and we focus on certain subjects such as we'll talk more about today. Hopefully, we'll focus on talent, acquisition, retention, as well as AI technologies and manufacturing technology in general, as to help manufacturers get the latest information through our group via HILI.
Great. And as I listen to your introductions, I think to myself, the process end and the technology end, what a great combination that is, right, for our manufacturing and international trade, for not only our focus, but for the committee itself. So said to you guys before, can't thank you enough. You have day jobs and you volunteer with us on a what feels like a daily basis when you do your planning. So we really appreciate it. So, as we look at manufacturing, as you look at the landscape of manufacturing, there's roughly about 3,000 right now manufacturers on Long Island. So a heavy presence, we know that. We understand the importance of it. So talk to us a little bit about first how you were introduced to manufacturing and what that looks like for you in your daily business. So I don't know who wants to go first. That's
John, please. Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can jump in for sure. So, as I stated in our opening, I'm a CPA. I joined an accounting firm right out of school. So the bridge to manufacturing, how did I get there? And how did I make that a primary focus of my career, my development, and now I lead the industry here at the firm because of my experience in doing so. But how I got here, so when I first joined my firm, you start as a staff and you come in and you do a lot of work in various different industries. You don't really specialize right away. So a couple of cohorts that I started working with, they started working in real estate, some in staffing and other service type entities, some in construction. And I got assigned to do some inventory observations at client sites, as a young staff person. So I really enjoyed when I first went in there, something that makes tangible products, being around customers that really contribute to the economy in terms of bringing items to market, and going there and seeing the warehouses, seeing the manufacturing floors, and getting that behind the scenes peek at that really piqued my interest and said, look, if I'm going to be stuck behind a desk doing accounting,
Right.
At least one of my client sites, I want it to be interesting. I want it to be fun. I want to see something actually happening rather than just meeting. I love meeting with people. I mean, this is a people industry, right? It's accounting, but it's a people industry. And I really just enjoyed, the conversations we would have with them and understanding how their business works and, how they think about their business and how really the passion that they have for it as well. I think is pretty intense. Like if you're in manufacturing, like you live it, you breathe it. And so that was my real introduction to it and just working with those types of clients. I remember being suspended on a forklift doing inventory counts on the top shelf, saying there's no way this is compliant with anything OSHA or anything like that, but we were doing it. It was a long time ago. So, but it was good. It was, and like I said, that passion within me, as I said, if I'm going to be an accountant, which I love that too. I want to work on clients specifically in that. And I grew my practice in that. And, I took a senior leadership role here at the firm just to continue my focus in that area and become an industry expert. So.
Yeah. And, I agree with you, John. I mean, when we've taken tours of manufacturing plants, it is absolutely amazing what's being made. And, even when you take a look at this Long Island Innovation Park at Hop Hog, we have a company that has won several Emmys because they make cameras, for Hollywood, and it just things you wouldn't even. It's very, very interesting and extremely entrepreneurial. Absolutely.
Well, we could see it from a firsthand because when we run our committee meetings, we really pushed for manufacturers to have us on site and the events that we can. Shameless plug for any manufacturers out there. We'd love to have you host us. So please reach out to Terry and the HAA team if you want us to host at your facility. But we really do get our biggest turnouts because of that, because people want to see manufacturing. They want to see it. They want to be there. They want to tour the plant. They want to see all the innovation that's happening because it's, some of it's wild. I mean, when we had the robotics in the HIA office with the pallet mover, I mean, it was crazy. And then we were at GE Aerospace to start off January. Again, we get big turnouts for that because people are interested, and there's no better way to really show off the innovation here on Long Island and having these manufacturers open their doors to us and have us come in and host an event there and really, pride themselves in the work that they do here. So
yeah. And again, there's a lot of great things being manufactured. So absolutely, our members love it as well. So thanks, Kevin. How about you? How'd you get introduced? Do you remember how you got introduced to manufacturing in general?
Yes, absolutely. So I have about 3 decades of business experience myself. So my background is business and marketing fundamentally. And my first job, I started my career professionally in 1994. So first time I started to work for a group. They were specialized in food and beverage and textile. That was my first job. So I was in more in numbers. So I was in finance department back in the time. And I started to be really curious about how the things are running operationally. So I was always visiting manufacturing department. I was talking to engineers, trying to understand. They like to be heard, and they always have great ideas from business point of view. So that's how I actually got introduced. After that, I worked for a company in ceramic tile business. And then I got into distribution, and then I got into pulp, paper, and packaging industry. And during that time, pulp, paper, and packaging is really heavy industry that basically makes paper. When we say paper, we are talking about packaging paper like Amazon boxes or
Mhm.
Hegium paper, for example, as we use it. So I was there as a marketing and sales director in one of the companies, paper mills that I was working for, and they started to invite me to their manufacturing meetings weekly basis. So I became the voice of the customer. So anytime that they need to take some actions manufacturer wise, then they were asking me, how the customer will think, how the market will think, or if I have any feedback in general. So there I was more get into the manufacturing and the engineering of paper and pulp processes. I was talking to manufacturing engineers on weekly basis. So I was learning a lot. And just like John mentioned, so even though we are in industrial times, there are a lot of machinery and equipment involved, the human, the people involvement and the effort that they put is amazing, and you get that excitement. So they are sort of they're type of artists in a way. They create it by utilizing the machinery and equipment. So seeing that enthusiasm was always also gives me also motivates me for the manufacturing in general.
Right.
So when we look at Long Island and the region here in general, just like you mentioned, we are talking about 3,000 employee, 3,000 manufacturers, and we are talking about 70,000 employees. This is a big market, and important for our region, also important for our nation. So just like John mentioned earlier, our goal is to make sure manufacturers in Long Island, they are also notified, and they learn about what is going on in the market in general
Mhm.
and what is coming up. Uh,
Right.
Say that maybe an AI, there may be the technology in manufacturing in general. It is because times are changing because of the geopolitics. The importance of U.S. manufacturing is more than before. So that also is the case in Long Island as well. Utilizing AI, using manufacturing technologies to improve productivity in addition to safety. These are critical to be competitive in the marketplace, not only in US, also globally.
Right.
So,
Right.
so we like to focus on these subjects always in our manufacturing committee at HILI. HILI is a great mission, being in the innovation park in Hapak. Also, us being part of HILI as Manufacturing and International Trade Committee. This is an important mission that we are doing our best to deliver and
Yeah.
drive in the Long Island area.
Yeah. So, it's interesting as the three of us talk about this, and I think we all feel the same way that artist is a great way to describe it, Kevin. Absolutely. I mean, these are people that live for, sometimes they're in a family owned business, a second generation, but they live for the creation of X, whatever X is.
Mhm.
Yet, when we're across the dining room table and we're talking to our kids, right? We're not manufacturing is absolutely in most households anyway, not the first thing that's mentioned. Um, and I really have always found that interesting because it's such a creative field. But again, parents in general aren't necessarily, and I think some of it could be the perception of, at least from a young professional, they might not feel like they can make as much money as they can by being something else. That could be some of it. But talk a little bit about that because I think that has a lot to do with the talent pool and what happens with kids, how they decide, whether they're going to go to college or the trades or things like that. So, what have you seen, John? I'm going to start with you.
Yeah,
You have a lot of manufacturing customers, right, that you're dealing with.
yeah.
What have you seen in that area? What are the struggles in terms of workforce development?
Well, let's start with where you started, like, talking about around the kitchen table or dinner table, right? It is probably not something that comes up as much or as often. For a long time in this country, higher education has been like really what's been driven, and I think a
Right.
lot of that is driven from the high school levels on. I'm fortunate enough in working with the HIA and running the committee. We get introduced to various different programs here on the island. Nassau BOCES, Suffolk Community College, all the programs they're running. Stony Brook has a tremendous program. There's apprenticeship programs available.
Yep.
But when you're going through the high school levels, yes, they make BOCES available for sure. But I think a lot of the direction is usually towards the higher education, the universities and the colleges. Um, One of it, I think, is the experience, like the college experience that kids want to go through.
Yeah.
I think some of it also is, the parents want to be able to, boast that their kid's going
Mhm.
to, pick Alabama, Tennessee,
Right.
whatever, and they just want, it's a prideful thing. It's nice to know, and to be able to post and share that information, especially when the kids put in a lot of work and hard efforts to get there. But it's not really something that's talked about because I think there's more to be learned about it. That's why we like to have our sessions on the manufacturing floor so people could see, like, it's not that assembly line of tightening one bolt, then it goes to the next guy, he tightens the other bolt. No, there's a lot more to it, and I think the tie-ins with the local universities hopefully will change that stigma a little bit over time, because there are various different avenues to get in. I mean, the apprenticeship programs are paid internship. Like, a lot of people come out of school with all this debt and go in and have to work an internship that's barely paid or little paid, and then wait for that offer to come full time. But apprenticeship programs, you basically get paid to learn a trade, and
Right.
you could walk away with it, and sometimes that even supplements colleges and whatnot. So there's
Yeah.
various different avenues, and it all comes down to just getting more people out there and seeing it, I think.
Yeah. And
I hope that addressed the question. I know I
yeah,
kind
no,
of sometimes.
absolutely. You did. I mean, and listen, I've seen us make, particularly over the last 3 years in business, I've seen us make much more aggressive strides in that area because
Yeah.
of the Suffolk community colleges and because of Megatronics and, because of many of the programs that are going on. Kevin, how do you want to weigh in on that, or how do you feel about?
Yes, absolutely. So, well, while manufacturing is evolving, also the relationship between manufacturing and the community, also the next generation is also evolving as well. So in these times, for example, especially um, encouraging next generation to go to manufacturing industry. So there are a lot of things that we can do and we are doing. So one of the things, for example, is to make sure parents are notified, they are informed as to what is going on in manufacturing in Long Island in terms of evolution of the manufacturing, what type of technologies are using. Also the old image of manufacturing being in a tough working environment, and also that is also changed. That also changed. It's come a long way now. When you go to manufacturing environment, it's nice, organized. Also, anything that you learn in terms of trade or knowledge, whether that's coding, whether that is operating a machinery, equipment, or a method that we need all these talent for manufacturing actually. So also in terms of computerizing the manufacturing processes, it also come a long way. For example, now manufacturing runs with machinery and equipment supported by software systems. Even one of the most difficult jobs in manufacturing environment is machine maintenance. So the maintenance crews are always on the field, fixing machinery equipment, break and fix or preventive maintenance. That happens to be one of our expertise. So I have insights in this. So now with the help of AI, the software predicts the health of the machine months earlier. So the possibility of downtime is almost zero. So this can give an idea to our audience as to how the manufacturing environment has come a long way and it's been changing. So having the coding knowledge language, whether you are coding in C# or you can operate the software systems, also very important for manufacturing. And also in manufacturing, we need different talent. You don't have to go to college all the time. If you have a trade, if you can operate a machinery equipment, CNC, Suffolk Community College, it has great training programs, for example, to put the trainees into job positions, for example. That is also another option. I mean, going to college is always encouraged, but then these are also other avenues that can be also explored, and it can be an option too in terms of being a machine operator. Very important. We talk to manufacturers all the time in Long Island. They have hard time finding CNC operators, machine operators. Some operators are being retired, about to be retired, so they are trying to get new generation to positions to make sure they are trained, they are ready to operate these machinery and equipment. So the link between manufacturing and the new generation is critical. That is important for the sustainability of manufacturing in Long Island. Also good for our region as well. They don't have to leave the region necessarily. We have schools, colleges, education, training, also manufacturing positions available. So in that sense, Long Island has a great opportunity. And new generation they also have a great opportunity. Being in this region is also a fortune. That's
Yeah.
great. So we should,
So, you alluded to in that, that I think the thing we want to remind everybody of is, when you're looking at manufacturing companies, you're right. It's more than a factory line. It's more than a machinist. There's an accounting department. There are management opportunities. I mean, it's a business just like any other business for many of the young professionals or someone who's reinventing themselves. So I think that's equally as important. So you brought up AI twice. So let's talk about it, because I'm very
let's
excited.
do
By
that.
the way, I use Chat GPT because I'm old,
Yes,
right? So I'm
yes,
excited about it. It excites
absolutely.
me.
I'll just continue, John, if I may.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
please.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So, well, when we talk about AI, of course, I mean, this is a very popular subject, and it is changing our life, and it will change our life fundamentally. So that is a fact. And how it's going to change, what's going to be, we'll see. Yeah, but then in terms of manufacturing, of course, so there are AI technologies available specifically for manufacturing. So when during the manufacturing operations, safety is important, productivity is important. At the same time, you need to also make sure you have the supply chain in place. So
Hmm.
these are all connected like a chain in a way. Nowadays, the AI technology in general getting more accessible and affordable for manufacturers. When I say manufacturers, I'm not just talking about large manufacturers, even small and mid-sized companies can afford it. Now, they just need to be informed that these technologies are available. As I mentioned earlier, machine maintenance is one of them. If you have a machine and equipment, you need to maintain it. It's just like us taking care of our car. If we cannot if we don't take care of our car, finally, eventually, it'll break down somehow. Same mentality, same analogy for the machinery and equipment. They need to maintain machine and equipment periodically, and with the AI technology, it goes to predictive maintenance. So machine and equipment can be predicted in terms of their health. And a little bit of detail. So the machine vibration, the temperature, the pressure of the machine, it gives an idea to AI based on past data, which it is still learning, and it can predict that machine will be in need of maintenance 3 months earlier. 3 months. So 3 months earlier, you can put together your man, machine, and material to perform that maintenance operation, for example. This is one example. And then we look at, for example, customer relationship, finding new markets, increasing the sale and expanding the market. AI is also right now accessible and affordable. Using a CRM system is a good tool. CRM systems are affordable nowadays. And with that, also, they can analyze the markets accordingly. They can communicate with their target market with the help of these CRM technologies, for example. So this technology, AI itself, is not new. I joined an event before. The technology goes all the way to 1950s, but now it is more affordable and accessible, and that's a great opportunity for manufacturers in Long Island and in the nation.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, we're talking about efficiencies, right? I mean,
Yes.
and that's, I think, for the audience, an important point, because, when we talk to any type of organization about AI, there's a lot of fear involved, right? People feel potentially that it's going to take away their job, but really what it's about is getting to the end game potentially sooner with a lot more information in a more efficient fashion. So John, I'm going to turn to you because I know Citron Cooperman does a really good job of an extensive manufacturing survey, and I remember reading it. I can say last year I read it. I didn't read it
Yeah,
yet. This year, is it out yet this year?
no, we're ready to go to market with it to start eliciting responses for our 2025. So
Okay,
we're really
great.
excited. We're just in the final stages. So
Good,
that
good,
deliverable will be probably about May again, just as it was
great.
last year.
So I remember last year reading two things that came out of the survey. One is high costs. We know that, right?
Yep.
That always impacts any organization, particularly
Mhm.
manufacturing. And how critical, reminds me of AI, right? How critical technology is, and to keep up with the technology of it. So talk to us a little bit about, since this survey this year isn't done yet, but talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing in manufacturing, what the biggest challenges are.
Yeah, I mean, to stay on the technology front, as Kevin was alluding to with AI, a lot are interested to know that, the manufacturing space, is one of the is really targeted a lot by cyber criminals and whatnot, and it's because of a lot of the data that's there. Like everybody would say, well, what would somebody want with my small little manufacturing company? Well, it's about data, and manufacturers retain a tremendous amount of data throughout the supply chain. So with that, there could be a lot of disruption through cyber. But not to stay on my point of going through that is to just stay on the data topic in terms of how much it could be used to their advantage. Kevin was talking about AI, but there's also, key metrics that they could use to operate your business.
Right.
We have products that run through the ERP. We make a lot of ERP implementations during the year to get people off some of these older, outdated systems and onto these newer ERPs that could do a whole lot more in terms of evaluating their key metrics, right? And Power BI is a term that's thrown around a lot, and it ties into a lot of these newer ERP systems. We have, whether it be forecasting or, looking at sales projections, demand, managing the demand, managing workflow. All that could be automated and help to run the operation better. You said before that people are afraid of AI taking their jobs. We don't see that as much. I mean, AI is filling a void of jobs that they can't find people anyhow.
Right.
And it's creating an opportunity for them to take jobs in-house and upskill workers to do a little bit more of a more value-added job, like getting rid of some of these mundane tasks and having AI handle those, whether it be processing paperwork or AP invoicing and stuff like that, and taking those people that are in those positions and finding more ways that they can add more value to the company and bring more of a human element to other aspects. But yeah, we see a lot in terms of the utilization of Power BI in forecasting, predictive sales, predictive demand processing, in terms of working with suppliers on when they're going to need shipments, managing lead times and stuff like that. So a lot of that data that's housed in these newer ERP systems, if you know how to operate, it could seriously add efficiencies to the business.
Yeah, and absolutely, the tours we've taken and the manufacturers that, particularly one of them here that has 12 locations, they're using a lot of that technology to, again, I go back to efficiency, to run, much more efficient. So we only have a few minutes left, believe it or not. That one quick, I feel. I don't know how you two felt.
Yes,
but,
time flies. Time flies.
I do want to touch on two things. One is, a new administration, a lot of executive orders coming down the pike, obviously, one of them being tariffs that impact manufacturers, can impact them in a very large way. So let's talk a little bit about that. What have you seen? And how a spin-off on that is supply chain, right? So we saw a lot going on in supply chain, or lack thereof it, through COVID. And what have you seen happen with that? So let's start with the tariffs. They relate, right? So Kevin, you want to, from an international trade standpoint?
Absolutely. Yes. So in international trade, of course, right now we are really in a connected world, in a global trade environment. So tariffs are being implemented in different forms. So this is not something new. But nowadays, it looks like there is more, and there may be more. That's how it looks as well. So what happens is it is going to affect the flow of the products coming out. That's going to affect it. Also, it's going to affect the cost in terms of the consumers, because when you have the tariff, it's going to basically build on the product's cost, and it's going to reflect on the end users eventually. So that will reflect on the pricing as well. In terms of operations, also, this may also be an opportunity. Sometimes tariffs also supports local manufacturing. There may also be an opportunity for us as well. So we'll see how it's going to play out. In general, when we look at it, especially in Long Island, for example, we have aerospace companies, life science companies, food and beverage companies. So any product subject to tariffs, any manufacturer that we have in our region is also an opportunity for us as well to increase the production. So that is one way of looking at it. Another way is that, of course, the supply chain from COVID years to now, it's come a long way, no doubt about it. Now it's better than before, so it's more connected, it's more it is safer, it's more sustainable. That is how it looks. So that also is a good news in terms of manufacturing as well. But the tariffs, also the environment that it's going to create in terms of international trade is changing. So for that, we have tools, right? We had before education events. So the Trade Department as well as New York State, they have tools and they have online available portals that manufacturers as well as distributors can get information as to what tariffs are being implemented, what is going on in terms of the latest news. So it is important to be informed to make sure
Yeah.
we can make the right decision.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We had an event yesterday morning. It was a post-election event with a lot of CEOs in the audience, and we were talking about tariffs. And one of the things that came up was how important it is to continue to build manufacturing on Long Island and in New York State.
Yeah.
Like they're doing two big chip factories and things like that, how absolutely critical that is. So when you look at chips even that are made in cars, how important that is. There's so many chips with a lot of the technology in the cars. So definitely. So John, how about you? What's your take on that? What are you seeing just in terms of the tariffs and the supply chain?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to cause a little stress and animosity initially once it gets underway. As a country, we've been operating the way we operate for the last number of years. We did see it with the current administration's previous administration. That makes sense. The last time President Trump was in, he did start implementing some tariffs. But yeah, there could certainly be an increase to the end using customer. Or an alternative to that could be that, they'd be looking for some of the manufacturer to absorb some of that cost to not have,
right,
some of that. So it could affect the profitability of some of the manufacturers here in the U.S., causing, again, for them to take another look at where they're getting the supplies from, to either diversify, nearshore. Obviously, everybody would love to onshore it, but we all know that to bring manufacturing back, it takes a lot of investment and whatnot. And hopefully this is that push to get everybody moving in that direction. But also, I think it'll give another opportunity for companies to look to diversify where they're getting product from, to get to more nearshore, not so much dependent on high tariffed areas. Because again, it could be one of those things where we don't want to continue to increase inflation. So the government might look for some of those manufacturers to absorb some of that cost, which could be detrimental to them.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be a balance, and monitoring it throughout. I know, here at the firm, we monitor it very closely. We work with supply chain professionals to kind of monitor it. Subject matter experts. We're hopefully going to do, a webinar or two down the road addressing it, because it's on a lot of people's minds. It could seriously impact the way people do business here in the States and even abroad, because a lot of our customers have operations overseas and whatnot. And I know you mentioned chip manufacturers. That's probably the largest aspect of manufacturing that gets imported. I'm not quoting numbers here. This is just my opinion of working in the industry. But chips is probably one of the major things that people import from overseas. So to get some of that more here in the States would be a tremendous stride in moving manufacturing back here.
Yeah. So could be a good topic for the Manufacturing and International Trade Committee. I don't know, but why don't we leave on that note? So tell us a little bit about your 2025 plans with the committee and what you feel that looks like. You've been having some great tours. I have to compliment both of you, really. So talk about 2025.
Yes, absolutely. So at the HALI Manufacturing and International Trade Committee, our mission is to support and also help grow manufacturing in Long Island and the region. So having this important mission, we organize educational events on monthly basis. So this year for 2025, so we're going to be focusing on technology as well as AI. Also, we'll be focusing on compliance and GMP compliance and safety the processes that can be applied and must be applied in manufacturing environment. Also, we'll be organizing events, especially for internship programs as well as apprenticeship programs, how manufacturers can utilize those to make sure next generation also can take place in manufacturing. So these are important subjects that we like to focus on. John, if you like to add any other insight, please feel free.
No, look, like I said earlier, we're always looking for more manufacturers to help us host
Yes.
and showcase all the innovation they have going on within their manufacturing facilities. It helps with our turnout. But yeah, our goal is education and bringing topics to light that manufacturers want to hear about. So if there's anything out there, Kevin and I service the industry, so we have a pretty good pulse on what people are looking to hear about. But it always helps to get new innovative ideas, and it's our job to populate the room and get subject matter experts to address those. I know we're going to have hopefully somebody with some OSHA background, give an update on OSHA audits, ISO compliance is another one that we have on our pipeline. Obviously, tariffs is another area. We had somebody speak on that last year. I think it was our June or July meeting last year. We had somebody come in and speak, which got a very good reception. So we'll try and bring him back in and stuff like that. So yeah,
Right.
we'll see everybody. And just to remind, I don't think Kevin mentioned. I'm not sure if Kevin mentioned it, but we're the third Thursday of every month. Check the HILI's calendar on the website for the events. Third Thursday of every month.
Great. Thank you, guys. And thank you so much again. I mean, I hope what you've heard, if you're listening, is how important manufacturing is, number one, right, to this region, to our young professionals, to creativity and, what we build and how we build it, and really how proud we are of Long Island and New York State and what comes out of that. So guys, thank you again. Really appreciate you volunteering with us and leading the way in your businesses as well. Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a great
Terry.
weekend.
Good to see you, Kevin.
Thanks.
Thank you. Same here. Thank you.